Welcome to Side Notes. We're out and about here in Toronto. We're at the Linsmore Tavern. I'm talking to Larry, who's from the Neil Youngins.
That is correct, the Neil Youngins.
You look an awful lot like Neil Young. One of the comments that was made on your website, that they were amazed the first time that people saw you, they closed their eyes and they swear that you sounded just like Neil Young.
That's because they don't have a Neil Young album playing beside me at the same time. I know, but there's definitely similarities in our voices for sure.
To get to that level of Neil Young, you know, the voice and the instruments and everything, how many hours of practice did it take you and the rest of the band?
Well, the band together, we probably practiced for one summer, you know, maybe about 3 months, maybe 4 or whatever. It kind of tapered off a little bit once September came and the kids were back at school and stuff. And we had about 10 to 13 songs done at that point. And then somebody asked us to come and play at the Cameron House and open up for them. And yeah, we did that. And geez, a couple months later, we were playing all the time. So, you know, it didn't take too long. But, you know, most of the guys in the band had been playing for a long time together and doing other things. And we're still involved in music. Me, not so much, but I played a lot in high school and stuff, so I sort of had the base. It took me, you know, a little while. I actually did some practicing on my own before that summer, just to try and get, hey, security, just to try and get, you know, myself, because I hadn't played. I was overseas for about 10 years and played like once a year kind of thing. And even when I came back in 97, I just didn't play very often. And then at one point, somebody asked me to drag it out. It was a party. It was my dad's birthday or something like that. We had a big party at our house. And somebody said, come on, Larry, play the guitar. I was like, oh, okay. And so I started to play something. And he's a very funny man. And he said, you know, you should really, I was playing Neil Young, obviously. You should really start a band and call it, and he just pulled it out of his hat kind of thing, the Neil Youngins. And of course, we all did spit takes and thought, what a great name, you know, the Neil Youngins. That does deserve a band. And it took about, you know, from that time, it took about 6 years for me to finally get back into it. And, you know, the timing was right for everybody else. And long story short, or long story even longer, yeah, we got together and did that summer. And I did a little bit of practice before that.
You guys performed at the Sound Academy. You also, over in London, you performed at a really nice place over in London. I think it was Oakville. You were at the Moonshine Cafe.
Right.
So you've performed all over the place. One thing I noticed when I looked at your website, that it said that all members of your band are either involved with animation or film or something else in the artistic world. Mm-hmm. How do you feel that coming from that background has helped not only with promoting the band, but helped keep it, you know, close-knit together? You have something to fall back on in common.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's where most of us all met, either at school, at Sheridan College in Oakville for animation, or, you know, I know with our drummer who came a little bit later, Jordy, he teaches there and, you know, has taught there in other schools of art as well. He's more of a fine artist, whereas the rest of us were in animation and that. And you know, how has it helped us? Certainly with the promotional side of it, because I know you've looked at our website and we have some great posters that Jordy pretty much has taken over that side of it. It used to be Steve, Dennis, and myself who did all the posters, and there was some good ones in there. But Jordy sort of brought a real professionalism, let's call it, to the promotional stuff. So that's really helped a lot.
What I'd like to ask you is 5 all-time favorite songs that Neil Young has done. Let's make this a little difficult. I'd like 2 songs from his 60s and 70s era and 3 modern songs. Well, that includes the 80s.
70s, that's still On the Beach, which is my favorite album. So, geez, On the Beach, I could name 15 songs, by the way, but you want me to? On the Beach for sure. I'm just going to try and go to another album. Let's go Cowgirl in the Sand. classic tune from the early days, from the 70s. Moving on into the 80s, 90s. What are my faves? I don't know. It was Dangerbird, Zuma. No, that was still 70s. Okay, we'll count that in there. Later on, all the Rust Never Sleep stuff. But again, that was 70s as well.
Well, let's say I know that this notes for you came out of the 80s.
Yeah.
So just two more.
The 80s were the lawsuit years, we like to call them, with the Shocking Pink stuff and the trans, and there's some good songs on some of those albums, to be sure. Wonderin' from the Shocking Pinks, and then the later stuff like Walk Like a Giant, and I personally love to play You'll Never Call, which has never even been released, but it's a great song. And I mean, Psychedelic Pill. I know I'm missing some stuff, but here's a list of songs right here. Let me cheat. Harvest Moon, probably one of the biggest requested songs that we do.
Well, I noticed in your website it also mentioned that you were born in Winnipeg, raised in Toronto, and then Neil Young, born in Toronto, raised in Winnipeg. Don't you feel like, in a way, that you sort of may have been switched at birth, sort of thing?
Well, if we hadn't been born almost 20 years apart, yeah, maybe. Yeah, we passed each other on the road, and little soul exchange. Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with anything. I think what all it is that I physically resemble him somewhat, and I think because of that, it sort of makes sense that vocally, we wouldn't be too far off, although that's, I doubt there's any scientific basis to that. But, I just always thought, well, we're sort of similar build, similar looking. It's not that big a stretch that I would sound something like him. I know our speaking voices aren't really anything similar at all, but when I sing, I just sing fairly normally, and I just try and I do kneel it up a little bit, if you could call it that. But I don't have to do too much to change. I know I've heard some impersonators, they really have to do something, and it sounds like they're trying to do an impression of them. And I get a lot of people who say it doesn't sound like you're trying, like you just kind of sound like them. So that's a nice compliment. I like that, because I don't want it to sound like I'm trying to sound like him. Let it happen naturally, and that's fine.
As you look back at what you've done, and actually to this point right now, what are some of the things that you want to leave in the minds of, let's say, other up and coming artists that they may want to do, also do a tribute to Neil Young, or even some other artist?
Go for it. Just do it. I mean, it's fun. I know a lot of people are down on tribute acts and everything, and that's fine. Everybody has, their preferences, but we have a really great following. They like to hear it. Maybe to a certain extent, they can't afford to go and see Neil live. Neil doesn't play a lot of the songs that we play anymore. He doesn't play them anymore. We do them. So if you want to hear, some of these songs live, we do them. They're pretty close. We're not exactly like them, but we put on a good show. For other people, I'd say if you really like it, and you don't have to sound like the guy you're doing, just put on a good show and play your instrument properly. Try not to sound like a dead cat when you're singing, and you should be fine.
Your website, real quick.
Basically, it's you go there to find out where we're playing. A way to contact us if you'd like to,
So
hire
that'd
us.
be neilyoungins.com?
Yeah, www.theneilyoungins.com. And then we have a Hotmail, same thing, theneilyoungins@hotmail.com if you want to email us. And that goes directly to me, so yeah, it's great.
Thank you so much for your time there,
Hey,
Larry.
thank you, Reg. Appreciate
You're
it.
doing an amazing job. I just want to quickly add that.
Thank you.
I've
Appreciate
caught
it.
a couple of your YouTubes too. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thanks very much.